and Son, and Holy Spirit. Glory to Jesus Christ.
Glory to God.
There's been a phenomenon of the last, I don't know, maybe a decade or so. We've been able to, through DNA, quote unquote, find our ancestors. We've been able to trace where our bloodlines come from. We're able to go find the ethnicities and nationalities in which our parents, our grandparents, our ancestors have descended from. And so, I've often wondered, because of my own particular situation, as many African Americans are, not having the ability to go back only so far. It's caused me to think, what is this thing that we look for in genealogy? What is it that we're truly trying to find? Are we looking to understand ourselves better? Do most people look to find out if they're Scottish? They want to know what the Scottish did. They want to understand what the French did. They want to know what makes the French people great. They want to know what is the particular thing that allows the Greek people to be the Greek people. Some people do look into genealogy because perhaps they've been afflicted with a rare disease. So they want to understand, is there a root to this disease that I, perhaps my children, and my family that were afflicted with, where did it come from? So they perhaps will look and they'll see if there's some sort of disposition that they've inherited. This tendency is all good. It's all natural. It makes sense. We want to know where we come from. We want to know where we come from because we want to have some understanding of where we're going. We want to understand who we are and how to be. And again, I think it's fine and good, but the problem is it's not very productive. It's not very satisfactory. It won't really help you make the changes that you need to make. It won't really help you understand who you are as an individual. It will help you understand, perhaps, on a collective sense, which is good, where you come from, but as an individual, on how to treat your wife better, on how to treat your children better, how to raise them better. It won't necessarily help you there. Now, what's interesting is I want to give a juxtaposition now. The juxtaposition I want to give is that of faith. When we read the Hall of Faith, we hear it in Hebrews. We read it every year as we just did in the Gospel of Matthew. We find something amazing. We can think of Abraham. Let me tell you something about Abraham. Abraham was challenged by fear. God called Abraham and said, you need to come out of the house in which you've been raised. You need to come out of the land in which you were raised. You need to go someplace that you do not know, you're not familiar. And he was afraid. When Abraham traveled, he encountered foreign kings. The foreign king in particular, they captured his wife. Before they captured his wife, he said to his wife, he said, if something happens, make sure that you tell them you're my sister. Because if you're my sister, then maybe they won't take you, maybe there won't be a problem. He was afraid. But is that why we recognize Abraham today? No. Actually, we recognize Abraham because he overcame his fear. He overcame his fear. Let me tell you about Jacob. Jacob was a bit of a cheat, a bit of a trickster. More than that, Jacob's mother was in it with him. She helped him deceive his father. Is this why we remember Jacob? No. This isn't why we remember Jacob. Remember Jacob because he redeemed himself from his trickery. He redeemed himself from the trickery of his mother. You see, my brothers, my sisters, my sons, and my daughters, like I tell many of you often, it's not necessarily your fault, but it is your responsibility. Many of us have inherited the weakness, the sins of our parents. Make no mistake, for sure, but you cannot rely on that. You have to find that thing that God's given you. You have to take responsibility. How? How am I to take responsibility? Let me tell you about it. And this is your real heritage. This is the thing that will help you redeem where you come from. This is the thing that will help you redeem your parents' work or weren't work. This is what will help you redeem your people and where you come from. It's called faith. Faith is not the knowledge of doctrines. It's not knowing every little detail of something. Faith is trust. And trust is only something that can happen if it's living. You don't trust something dead. You don't trust something in theory. You trust something because you have experience. This is why we remember all those people. Tamar. I can't even really tell you the story of Tamar because we have mixed company. It's not necessarily a G-rated PG story. And yet here she is in the lineage of Christ. Rahab. Not necessarily a G-rated story. And yet she's in the lineage of Christ. What more could you say to a woman who's a harlot? Too bad. That's just the life that you have. Oh well. No. God says to her, just like God said to St. Mary of Egypt, just like God said to St. Xenia, just like God said to St. Moses, no. I don't care if you're a harlot. I don't care if your husband died. I don't care if you're a robber or a murderer. I don't care. What I care about is what are you going to do about it? Will you meet me? Will you take what I'm giving you? Will you have faith? Will you trust me? Will you know that the circumstances I've given you? This is the narrative. This is the story. We're living in a time full of narratives, and all of them are demonic, all of them are false, all of them are broken. Every narrative on CNN, Fox News, Facebook, it's all garbage. Every single one of it. There isn't one that is good. No, not one. There's only one narrative that matters. It's the narrative of your life, the context in which God's given you for your salvation. Period. Full stop. That's it. And the only way that you're going to know how that narrative works is by faith. It's by trust. You can't pick your parents. You can't pick the color of your skin. You can't pick your gender, in spite of what the world tells you. You have to embrace it. And this is what makes us champions. This is what makes us heroes. This is what makes us actually human beings, and not animals who are given over to just simple instinct. Let us be humans. Let us be Christians. Let us have faith. Let us trust God, who's playing chess and not checkers. He knows what he's doing. But you need to do your part. If he's brought you this far, why would he stop now? He won't. Pray to God that your name will be in that book of life. And that when it's time, all of heaven will rejoice because you'll be saved. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.